but we didn't. We only had, I think in the final analysis we had 15 votes.
And they had how many in the final vote?
I think it was 21 to 15, and there were a lot of people that weren't there that day.
In other states, Washington and Vermont, it's been exposed that the Democratic Party in Washington, through the representatives in Washington coming back to the individual states, Washington and Vermont had influenced state legislatures to back off on this. Do you feel that there was any of that happened in New Mexico?
I didn't see that. I didn't see any evidence of that. We only have two Democrats in Washington, Senator Bingaman and District 3 U.S. Congressman Tom Udall. Both of them had just spoken to the legislature in previous weeks. They would have had an opportunity to speak out on this if they were really concerned about it. Neither of them said a thing about it. And so I don't have any indication that they were applying any pressure. Now, there may have been something subtle behind the scenes, I don't know, but it wasn't obvious to either John or I that was going on. Let me see. Did you see any evidence, John, of Congress?
No, I didn't see anything that would exhibit any sort of subtle pressure or even an overt pressure. I didn't see any of that.
One last question before we have to go. Across the country, and especially in New Mexico, there seems to be a serious disconnect between the base of the Democratic Party, what they wanted to do, the activists in the street, the overwhelming majority that were in favor of this going forward, of New Mexico speaking its voice, and then essentially politicians doing business as usual, blocking this, Democratic politicians blocking this measure for impeaching Bush and Cheney. Do you believe there will be a price to pay in party support by activists that really believe that they were in the majority here?
I think that, there is a huge disconnect, not just with the Democratic Party and the people they represent, but with government in general. Our job as the representatives of the people is to protect the sovereignty of the people. That was very evident to me that concern wasn't one of the major concerns when we didn't allow this to come out and be fully debated. So I think, yes, there is going to be a price to pay. People are upset. This was an important issue. Granted, it was a symbolic act, but...
Let me interrupt you there, sir. Was this a symbolic act, or by Jefferson's rules of Congress, if the New Mexico Senate and House had passed this resolution, would the Judiciary Committee in Washington have to have acted on it?
They would have had to act on it, but initially this, everybody was bashing it as being this symbolic act. And, to a certain extent, I agree, in the same vein that Rosa Parks refusing to give up her seat was a symbolic act. When Malcolm Little changed his name to Malcolm X, that was a symbolic act. But symbolic acts have great power because of the people behind the symbols. And I think there was a huge base, hundreds of thousands of people, not only in our country, but around the world, that were supporting this measure. So that's the unfortunate thing, is those voices are never going to be heard.
Yeah, my final take on it, the final analysis, is we never got over the hump that was in too many senators' minds that this was futile, that there was no point to it. Whenever we were able to really get into a dialogue in committees, that became clear, that there was really a purpose behind this, that it was not just a symbolic act. But I think for the ones that weren't in those committees, we never were able to get them over that hump. They didn't hear all the people come and speak from their hearts. They didn't hear the conviction about how the state legislature can be a vehicle for beginning the process. And so for them, it was all theoretical. I think it's up to the people to push us, and they certainly did in this case. We just need to make sure that doesn't end here with this. Otherwise, it will have all been for naught.
Senator Ortiz Y Pino, Senator Grubesic in New Mexico, thank you for joining us at INN, and we've got a lot of viewers in New Mexico, and I'm sure they're going to find this fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you.